I'm here with Helen Mayberg. We're talking about a collaboration that we've had for several years and celebrating a new milestone paper. Can you tell us a little bit about what DBS for depression is and what milestone we've reached and how it's going to impact patients?
The work really started based on a hypothesis that certain areas of the brain were really critical for depression recovery. And with the evolution of technology that was first developed for diseases like Parkinson's disease, that we treat depression like a brain disorder. And we see it as a brain disorder. And as a neurologist, I have always believed it to be a brain disorder. What we spent the last 20 years doing is refining, improving, testing, following patients, and again, leveraging available technology to understand what we do while we improve it. The next layer really became what your team helped us do, is because again, technologies, new devices were available. How can we implant precisely with imaging, turn the stimulation on, know that people do well, but to actually be able to understand what changes in the brain as they recover, and to take advantage of not just new devices, new imaging technologies, but artificial intelligence to really decode the signal of recovery.
So depression would be considered a psychiatric disorder, but you're a neurologist. What are you doing here? How does a neurologist end up spending their career studying depression?
Well, you're not the first one to ask me that. But in fact, as a neurologist, when people have disorders of the brain, maybe you can't move your arm, maybe you can't speak, but mood, when suddenly you have an unnaturally pervasive negative mood that makes it so you can't think and you can't move, that's a neurological problem. That's not a weakness of character, that's not having a bad day, that's where a brain circuit is fractured, and the question is, how do we fix it? So I'm here because this is where a neurologist should be. In the same way, what are you doing here? You're an engineer. It's because this is a wiring diagram. This is a dynamical system, and that requires engineers and neurologists and psychiatrists and therapists and rehabilitation experts to work together to fix the brain and then rehabilitate the person to be the best person they can be.
You have a really unique perspective on this, having worked in it for a couple of decades now. Can you tell me, what do you see that's changed in the field over the last 20 years, and what do you think has remained the same?
What's really changed is, again, the technology and the fact that it isn't a spot, it's a network. It isn't linear. It isn't just something being up or down. It's the choreography of how brain regions work together. And I think, very naively, at the beginning, the hubris of a neurologist think you're going to study depression is the idea that, well, we can figure it out. We have scans. And with every experiment, we've come to realize it's way more complicated than we thought it was with the previous experiment. So on one hand, after 20 years, it's kind of embarrassing to kind of go, we're still at it for 20 years and we haven't figured it out yet. No, we've actually figured out an awful lot, that have realized that we have to have respect for the brain because it's complicated and it doesn't give up secrets easily, but that we can game it with actually the skills of a lot of different interdisciplinary types of scientists working together, that together we can crack this.
It's a fascinating history. It's an exciting time to be in the middle of using neuromodulation to correct these sort of disorders. So I'm excited to hear what the next decade has for DBS for depression.